Okay, good morning. So today we have the PSIR Orientation at Insights. So here you will get information regarding why PSIR, what is there in the option, what can be done, how to prepare, and also that whether students from non-PSIR background can take the optional or not. So to inform all these aspects, Insights has invited one of the recent topper who cleared the exam in 2024. So we have Rakshith K. Gowda. He's gone into Indian Revenue Service Income Tax. Please welcome Rakshith. So why we called a recent topper is that because one who is in touch with the exam, he will be a better position to explain that why did he choose PSR. So Rakshith is from engineering background and he got 270 in political science, and he'll be able to explain that why he chose the PSR as optional and how PSR had helped his preparation and what are the challenges and what should be done to score well in the optional subject. So this is an informative session to inform students, why PSR can be one of their choice. So let's begin the session. I'll hand over the mic to Rakshith with a warm round of applause.
Hi, hello everyone. Am I audible? Yeah, just a small clarification. Yeah, my score is not 270, 278. So it is 147 and 131. So it comes to 278. Anyways, can you people come front a little bit? Well, so how many of you are like there for the first time for PSIR? Almost all of you. So no one has any background with respect to political science. So how many of you are engineers? One engineer and other basic science? Yeah? Okay, good. See, as Sir said, everyone is on the same page with respect to PSIR or with respect to any optional for that matter, apart from technical optional. Since I think most of you are giving the exam for the first time, right? So you know the stages, right? Prelims, mains, and interview. And prelims is the most unpredictable part, correct? Because out of around 10 to 12 lakh people, only 10,000 to 12,000 people clear. And the questions are, it can come from almost anywhere because there is no set syllabus, right? Then the certainty increases with respect to mains, correct? Mains you have set syllabus, correct? GS 1, 2, 3, 4, you have set syllabus. Then PSIR, the certainty increases even more because for optional, you have set syllabus and most of the syllabus, the questions that come from the previous year questions. Whereas in GS, for example, if there is any current affairs, there is any current developments that is happening, people, the question setter can change into those current affairs things. So GS can be current affairs oriented. Whereas PSIR can be current affairs oriented, but most of that will come from the basic questions and you can only add current affairs as an additive. So that is one of the, so almost all of you have taken PSIR, I guess. Or are you people still deciding on PSIR? Still deciding. That's a good thing. See, I'll tell you. First, even without any background, you can clear PSIR. You can score very well in PSIR. My score in PSIR paper 1 was 147, which was in 2023 is almost the top 1, 2 or something like that. In PSIR paper 2, I've scored 131, which is again the decent score. Okay. Without any background, without any knowledge about PSIR, studying it for 6 to 7 months with a good mentor, I think you can definitely clear. So I'll tell you how I started about PSIR. Initially, my optional was geography, but anyways, I studied it for almost 6 to 8 months and it was not my cup of tea. I was not able to recollect, I was not able to analyze questions properly. So I changed to PSIR. And initially I didn't take any classroom coachings. I was not so privileged because like I had no idea that Nikhil Sir was there in Bangalore. So I was thinking that there's no coaching for PSIR in Bangalore, so probably I have to study. So one of my friends had some notes, so I borrowed from him and I studied that and I gave my 2021 mains and I scored around 220 or something like that, only with that. Then I realized that in 2022 that Nikhil Sir is there, he takes classes. And by the time, see, once if you move out of that first year of preparation, you don't feel like taking classes. You feel like having a good mentor. So Nikhil Sir has been that mentor for me. I would categorically state that if I'm standing here right now, it is because of Nikhil Sir. It is because of his PSIR guidance. It is even because of his GS guidance and even interview guidance, which I'm standing here. And I also got decent marks in interview. It's only because of him, because I got 185. And most of my interview went on the current affairs on international relations. And sir had taken a mock interview with respect to international relations, so that helped. PSIR, you have paper 1 and paper 2, right? Are you people, did you go through the syllabus or something like that? Syllabus, you have gone through the syllabus. There are paper 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. 1A is more theoretical, 1B is more Indian oriented, caste, religion, etc. Then paper 2 is more IR, where you study comparative politics, and paper 2A, and paper 2B is about India and the world. That what is the relation between India and the other countries, India and the neighbors, India and Europe, and India and the other countries. That's it. Now I'll tell you what are the sources that I referred for PSA. One, probably you can note it down if you want. The primary source which I referred was for my 2022 attempt, in which I went to the interview, was Nikhil Sir's primary notes. That is number one. One of my friends had joined Nikhil Sir's classes and he gave his notes. That is number one. Second, there is Shubhra Ranjan ma'am's notes that is available in the market. I took that also. Third, for current affairs, I referred something known as news to notes. I think if you follow Nikhil Sir's Telegram channel, probably he will update regularly news to notes. It's there right now also, no sir? So you have something called as news to notes, and I referred only that for current affairs, nothing else. Correct. Then for previous year questions, I took a solved book which is available in the market called as Chronicle. Chronicle solved PSIR book where you have solved answers from 2011 till 2024. I think now 2024 also has come since the mains is done. So probably you can refer that. Or this is the book which I referred, probably you can, there are other books also which I am not very sure. But anyways, previous year questions are also solved in classes also, no sir? Previous year questions are also solved. You can add these things. I'll tell you, these are the only notes which I referred. And without not like having repetitive things, I wrote answers regularly. Probably that is the only difference that made between my 2022 attempt and 2023 attempt. Okay. Let me tell you, even for PSIR and for any subjects in GS, the more limited your notes are, the more revisions you do on the same notes with value additions will get you near to the exam, near to the clearing line. If you have multiple sources, and you won't have that much time also to revise. So have your source limited. I'll tell you, your class note should be the most limited thing. If you study class notes and study previous year questions, I think you are almost 80% done in humanities optional, especially in PSIR. Got it? I'll tell you why PSIR, basically why I switched from geography to PSIR. One thing was, when I analyzed previous PSIR questions, I had some interest on international relations, which you will get it when you keep reading newspapers, correct? So PSIR paper 2 I saw, and I realized that most of the questions are based on IR, which I can solve with the basic amount of knowledge which I have. Of course, it was not that much sufficient, but I thought I could solve compared to any other optional, compared to geography or any optional which I took earlier. Now, how PSIR helps? Then I analyze that how PSIR helps for the other papers, right? See, when at the end of the day, you are here to clear the exam, correct? You are here to clear the exam. You are here to get IAS, IPS, IRS, IFS, whatever you people want. Then you have to get through, correct? You're not here to be that subject expert, which you might probably have an illusion that you might become that subject expert to clear an optional subject. No. You need to be an expert in analyzing the question that is there. And you need to be able to integrate different points in the option, different points in the syllabus. That's all. I'll tell you why PSIR helps as a subject. First of all, PSIR has a direct correlation with GS2. I think these things you people agree with, correct? Polity almost, say in polity questions, almost 80% of the questions you will also study in PSIR. From the constitution, from the main organs of the government, from the constitutional bulwarks such as Election Commission of India, CAG, etc. You will study most of these things in PSIR. So 80% of it. And trust me, I have not studied GS2 separately for mains. I have studied GS2 separately for prelims, but I have not studied GS2 separately for mains. One, lack of time. Second, I was also studying PSIR and I got decent marks in GS2. I got 116. Of course, people can score 125, 130 also. And I could score 116 with the limited amount of time which I have. So PSIR has a good correlation with GS2. I think this is one thing. In GS2, you have something known as international relations, correct? You will have international relations questions of up to 40 to 50 marks or 30 to 40 marks. You will have 15 markers, 2 questions. You will have 10 markers, 1 question. Sometimes you can have 15 marker 1, 10 marker 1. In that point of time, it will become 25 and maximum it can go till 40. Most, you don't need to study any other thing apart from PSIR. In PSIR, you have international relations. You can solve the GS2 part, IR part completely. I'm telling you, the polity part, you can have PSIR for 80%. Sometimes you need to have the 20% current affairs addition. But for the IR part, international relations part, you don't need to study anything else if you study PSIR. That is perfect, correct? Then you have something known as GS4. In GS4, there is a specific syllabus called as thinkers, correct? If you have studied GS4 or when you study GS4, you will see that there are so many thinkers who say a lot of things about constitution, about democracy, about governance, about rule of law, etc., which you can incorporate, which you have to incorporate in GS4 to get a good score. GS4 is ethics and integrity. I hope you all know. And in PSIR, there is a specific syllabus called as thinkers, Western political thought and Indian political thought. And if you study those things, it's more than enough. You don't need to have an additional notes for GS4. This is also one of the reasons why I took PSIR. Did you understand? For GS2, there is almost 80% correlation. For GS4, there is that thinkers part. Second, in GS4, not only those thinkers, you need to integrate a lot of theories. Between the, for example, if you are solving, say, a case study. If you are solving a case study and if you want to talk about, say, education. Education is say the issue is of education. In PSIR, there are so many thinkers who talk about how education should be imparted by the state so that it can change the lives of the individual. You can integrate that. You understood what I am saying? Probably since you people are starting, you people are not able to get that coherence exactly, but this is how it is. The more you integrate in GS4, it helps to score better, and PSIR helps there. And I have not studied GS4 again apart from PSIR because I didn't have time again, and I scored 112 in my GS4 and 120, 125 was the topper score. I scored a little bit lesser. Probably if I would have done a bit more of answer writing, I could have scored more. This is the thing about PSIR. Then let's come to something known as essay. In essay, if you analyze last 10 years paper, now most of it has become philosophical, but last 10 years papers, if you analyze, most of the theory part of the questions come from topics such as democracy, women, environment. I hope you have seen essay paper, right? women, democracy, environment. These are all the things you again study in PSIR in terms of political theories, in terms of thinkers' quotes. For example, Plato says education should be imparted by the state, correct, which is the primary act of a state, which you can use it in education. For example, Amartya Sen says democracy as intrinsic, instrumental and educative value, which you can use it in democracy, correct. For example, in women, there are so many radical feminist thinkers which you again study in PSIR who say sex is made by God, gender is made by society. Feminine gender, masculine gender, who should do what is made by the society, whereas male, female is made by God. You understood? So when you're answering something related to women, you can do that. So these intercorrelations helps in essay. And a few years back, there used to be invariably one question on IR in essay. Now I think it has reduced. Now I think there is no question on IR. Previously, out of part A, there used to be one question specifically on international relations, which used to come directly from PSIR if you had studied properly. Correct? Now, for the philosophical part, you can use the thinkers' quotes. That's how PSIR helps. Okay. And I'll tell you, PSIR is a subject where if you analyze the previous year questions, trust me, 80% of your work is almost done. I'll just give you an exercise. When you go back today, if you're still not clear about PSIR, when you go back today, take last 10 years paper or probably last 14 years paper, 2011 till 2024. In optional paper, you know that there are compulsory questions, right? And there are optional questions. Compulsory questions in part A, you should answer 5. Compulsory questions in part B, you should answer 5, correct? That's right. In part, say, read only part A questions compulsory questions of part A. Of last 14 years paper, this is something which I also did and I recommend you people also do that. See only part A compulsory questions, those 5 questions, invariably you will get an idea that what kind of questions will come in the next year. It is as simple as that. You will get multiculturalism, you will get Hobbes theory, you will get Locke's theory, you will get Marx's theory, you will sometimes get Plato's theory, you will get the same thing again and again. So that means the same thing, same concepts are repeating again and again and again. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ? You want me to say in Kannada as well? It's fine. The same thing. So do that for paper A part 1, do that for compulsory part B. You will get an idea that most of the questions are repeated. And how did I get an idea is because I did this after Nikhil Sir told me to do that. Okay. Since I was not there in the class, so he asked me to go and analyze previous year questions. So I took only the only part A questions. You will invariably see most of the questions are repeated and every year it repeats, and you will also get an idea what kind of questions will come in the next year as well. Correct? It's not rocket science at all. And what is your work after that? Your work is to get the theory part, get that knowledge part to answer that question. And your work again is to write that answer and also to get it corrected. That's all. Analyze previous year questions, have a consistent, a comprehensive notes which you get in class, and solve that. When you solve that, you will make a lot of mistakes. Then have that value additions. Then again get it re-evaluated. That's all. If you do these things, it's more or less it's done. Trust me, if you solve, I'll also tell you how to solve previous year questions. If you solve 2011 till 2024 mains questions, and if you get it corrected by say Nikhil Sir, I think you are 80 to 85% done. And in my 2022 attempt, I did only this much and I got 265 around. Nothing else. No studying much. Consistent evaluation, consistent writing. That's all. Only previous year questions I did. I couldn't do any other test series, Nikhil Sir's test series, because I got so many questions of my previous year questions corrected, which was much more than the test series itself. You understood? Then for the 2023 attempts, I comprehensively did the test series, which was completely previous year questions plus test series plus mentoring. That was more than enough. You understood? So previous year questions, your class notes, Nikhil Sir's class notes and consistent answer writing is the only way to get good marks in PSIR. Nothing more, nothing else. Now I'll tell you why PSIR also helps. As I told, even in interview it helps. Even if you are not from the PSIR background, most of your interviewers will be someone from say IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS, any of the background. They will have a good amount of knowledge about international relations, correct? If you, even if you're not, if you don't have any background, they will expect you to have some basic knowledge of what is India doing with its neighbors. What is India doing in Indo-Pacific? What is India doing with Europe? What is India doing with West Asia? How is India-US relationship changing? How is India-Russia relationship changed over a period of time? Invariably, there will be a question. There will be 20% of your interview which goes on international relations. So here PSIR plays a crucial role. And here again I would like to thank Nikhil Sir because he took an interview specifically on PSIR, specifically on international relations, which has helped me. And I scored 180 in my first interview and I scored 185 in my second interview. It was almost the same, as in 20 to 25% IR questions. You understood? You understood the basic things which I told? Why PSIR is very, very important. How PSIR as a subject plays a crucial role. How constant evaluation, constant reading of class notes and mentoring helps. Correct? This is the only basic thing which you are supposed to do. Now, as I told, previous year questions are the main thing. Correct? I will tell you how I went about previous year questions, and I would also recommend you to look in that way. I would not suggest you completely, but I would recommend you to look it in that way because it has worked for me. It has helped me to get 147, 131. It has also helped some of my friends also to get 140. What I would do was I used to take Nikhil Sir's notes. Okay. And I used to see, for example, initially in paper 1A, you have something known as rights, justice, equality. If you see, you have so many things like that. I used to read his notes for rights. Say for example, rights. Rights is a topic. Then I used to go back and solve all the previous year questions that has come only on rights. You will have invariably around say 20 to 25 questions on only that topic. Say for example, justice, 20 to 25 questions only on that topic it comes. And I used to get all the questions evaluated by Nikhil Sir. So when you do those things, invariably, irrespective if they ask any questions on justice, any questions on rights, you will be able to solve. What are the other things? So for example, you finish justice, then you go to something known as equality, which is also a topic. Probably you will get to know when the classes start. Equality is also a topic. So now you again have to solve all the 25 questions. So I used to reduce. What I used to do was I used to solve 5 questions on equality and I used to get it corrected by Nikhil Sir. Rest other questions I used to make a framework. You know, making a framework is something very easy. You take a question, you would write what is the introduction that you are writing for that question. If you are answering it properly, what is the introduction that you are writing? And what are the conclusion that you are writing? And what are the different arguments in terms of points? It will lessen the amount of time you spend on that question. Within 2-3 minutes, you can have this framework. Then show it to Nikhil Sir. Then see what is the value addition that you can do. Add to that point again. You understood? Like this, I did almost 90% of the syllabus 2011 to 2024, 2023 or 2022, 23 is the mains which I wrote. You can do it for 23, 24 as well. Then, for example, if I do justice, then I would see like what are the questions that Nikhil Sir has asked in justice in the test series. So solve that again. Trust me, you do this, you're done. You're almost done. I'll tell you what are the other things you can add on to it, but you're almost done. And I think Sir's test series is also based on most of the questions. He will understand the topic that are repeatedly asked in previous year questions and he would frame those test series as well. So his test series is almost like previous year questions only. You can solve that again so that you will get an idea. After solving previous year questions, if you solve test series, you will get a complete idea about everything. Understood? So take a topic, read the class notes, correct? Build that introduction, conclusion, build that arguments and counter arguments, and get it evaluated. See, sometimes when this is the mistake which I did in 2021. I did not get it evaluated. So I used to write everything. For example, if Plato has asked something about philosopher king, I used to write only about philosopher king, because I had no idea that you have to write something known as counter arguments. You have to write the argument, you have to write counter arguments, and you should give the broad framework. Then only your answer looks comprehensive. This I learned from Nikhil Sir. After getting that evaluated only, I realized that you have to write something known as counterpoints. So getting it evaluated is very, very, very important. Sometimes you will not understand the demand of the question until you get evaluated. So I recommend you to get it evaluated. So you might not be able to solve all the previous year questions of 14 years, but you will solve at least 40 to 50% of it. Another 50% make a broad framework of it. You understood? Broad framework in terms of introduction, conclusion. So the moment you see that in exam, that introduction, conclusion and the points that you wrote should strike you, and you should just keep writing. You know that time is very less for optionals and all, correct? You don't have time to think there. Everything should be your muscle memory. So one benefit of doing this again and again and getting it evaluated again and again is it becomes your muscle memory. So as soon as you see something known as, say, justice as a topic, correct, you will invariably write, according to John Rawls, justice is the first virtue of social system, just like truth is the first virtue of any system of thought. As soon as you see something known as equality, you say, Dworkin said, equality is the sovereign virtue which should be given highest importance. As soon as you see natural rights, you say natural rights are based on the Locke's theory of natural rights, human rights. Human rights are Locke's theory of natural rights, which has its origin in French Declaration of Independence or American Declaration of Rights. You understood? So it becomes your muscle memory. Trust me, in exam, you won't have time to think. Whatever that is there in your muscle memory only comes out. If you take, say, 30 seconds or a minute to think in every question, you will invariably won't be able to write 2 questions in exam. In PSIR, you're supposed to write 19 questions, you know, right? 19 questions, 10 markers 10, 20 markers 3, 15 markers 6. Invariably, if you take 1 minute or 1.5 minute to think in any question, last 2 questions you won't be able to write. So whatever that you imbibe, whatever that you have as a muscle memory is the only thing that comes out. So how to make that muscle memory? Have broad framework, show it. If you don't show it, as I did in 2021, the mistakes only will become as a muscle memory, and you will write the same thing in exam and come. For that, having a good mentor is very, very, very important. I think for me, Nikhil Sir has been the one-stop solution of PSIR with respect to this. He has helped me in other things as well. But anyways, then as you go on, as you study previous year questions, then as you go on, say 5 months into the preparation, you will understand that integration between paper 1 and paper 2 is very important. Okay, that integration, again, if I say now again, it will be like a little bit overboard. You will understand the integration. Probably when you see the classes, when you go through the classes, you will understand that integration between paper 1 and paper 2. Then I'll tell you, newspaper plays a very important role in PSIR. If you see all the you have international section in newspaper, you have the national section in newspaper, you have the editorial section in newspaper. There won't be even a single day where there won't be any any information which is not relevant for PSIR. Every day there will be something. So your newspaper is again your revision for PSIR. Studying international relations from the newspaper is again the PSIR revision. That's all. So there also it helps. That integration also has helped. Say for example, what is happening in Gaza, what is happening in Ukraine, again is the thing in PSIR. And I will also tell you how PSIR helps in something known as prelims also. If you analyze prelims questions, a few years back there was a question on What is the similarity between Gandhi and Marx? I invariably say only PSIR question, PSIR students would have answered that, correct? And there was a question on liberty, negative liberty, positive liberty, what are the differences? Only PSIR students would know it exactly. I'm not saying other people won't know. I would say only because of my background as a PSIR, I was able to solve that. You can go back and check. And in prelims also 20 questions, at least 15 to 20 questions will come on polity, correct? Which are again the same things which you are repeating. So PSIR is just one subject where it covers almost most of your preparation. From prelims till interview, it covers most of your preparation. And trust me, if you're good in your optional, it also helps in your prelims. It increases your confidence on prelims. Because say if you're not good in your optional, and if you're writing prelims tomorrow, back of the mind, you know that within 3 months you should write mains again, correct? So if you make your optionals better, it will psychologically help, plus it will theoretically help. Theoretically help in solving polity and other questions. Psychologically, it will give you a lot of confidence. You understood? This is the basic things which I did. This is the basic things which I suggest you also to try and do it. And trust me, like initially when I started with PSIR in 2021, I used to have this thing in my mind that probably the students at Delhi will have an advantage. Probably we'll always be the second fiddle. That's what I used to think. We won't have that much resources in Bangalore with respect to this optional. That's what I used to say. But I'll definitely say you don't need to go to Delhi. I went to Delhi only for my interview, nothing else. And I did not take any test series also. My test series was all Nikhil Sir's test series. The thing is like you need to strategize. Political science is again, it's nothing but science. You need to systematically study. But you should also ensure that you are systematically studying. You are systematically studying for the demand of the question. Artha agta idea? This is basic, it's about PSIR. If you do these things, I think 80% of it is done. I'll tell you what are the 20% which probably put me back and did not get that 290 to 300 kind of things. One, which Sir also used to say, that you need to integrate your current affairs knowledge with PSIR. I used to be a lot of theoretical thing. That means I used to be very confident. Since I have solved all the PSIR questions, I used to be very confident. For example, in PSIR, you have something known as pressure groups, you have political parties. You should give current examples there, which Nikhil Sir, I think, probably would have taught in class. Which, if you integrate current examples, then only your answer will look relevant for the present times. Otherwise, it will look like that, okay, the theoretical part he is good, but he is not able to connect it with the current times. Probably this is something which I lacked in paper 2, which I suggest you every time you write the answer, every time you read something, try to connect it with the current affairs. Every time, say you read pressure groups, try to connect with some of the pressure groups or some of the NGOs which are there in the present times. And where to get all these things? News to notes. News to notes, I think it will be there. I think it is there in the Telegram channel, right? So, news to notes, plus if you want, have a newspaper, read it. That integration which you do, which plays a very important role even in GS2 as well, which you should practice. It won't come naturally. Suddenly, if you read something and how to integrate political parties, in PSIR there is a subject, there is a topic like how caste impacts representation, how caste impacts political parties, political mobilization, correct? Give current examples. Tell how caste is impacting. You understood? When you give these current affairs examples, then only it will be comprehensive. That means the evaluator will think that he knows the basic knowledge, plus he is able to integrate with the correct example. And trust me, PSIR is very thought-provoking. See, there are so many thinkers who say caste is good. Having caste mobilization is good. Why? If you are mobilized based on caste, even people who are in the lower rung of the society, they will have the muscle power and they can get something known as reservation, which is a benefit from the state, correct? But there are other thinkers who also say, if you mobilize based on caste, it is nothing but ethnicity. If one person is mobilizing based on caste, other person will take something known as language, he will divide again. Other person will take something known as religion, he will divide again. So there is no set thing. So it's all about arguments. And how do you shape your arguments will make your question, make your answer relevant. Andre, if you take just caste as a one thing, you can have thousands of arguments. If you take language, which is going on right now, you can take thousands of arguments. And PSIR is a subject of arguments. There is no right or wrong here. There is something, if you are able to convince your thoughts, if you are able to have the basic thesis, antithesis and synthesis of your thoughts, then you are done. This is something which helps even in your interview. In interview, they will try to make you uncomfortable through uncomfortable questions. How middle ground, in what way do you able to take that middle ground helps? And PSIR is all about taking middle ground. All about analyzing both of the things. All about making that arguments. See, but the basic thing is, it has a lot of ripple effects if you study PSIR. And how to study PSIR is also important. And I have told you how I have gone about PSIR. Correct. Then one important thing which I have to add here is note making. Since I had class notes of Nikhil Sir's, but I made my own notes reading that notes. How did I make? In PSIR, you have something known as thinkers anta irtare. That means for everything, democracy. Amartya says something about democracy. Plato says something about democracy. State anta irutte. State will be there. Garner says something about state. Garner says political science begins and ends with the state. Some people say state should be ultimate. State should have all the powers. Some people say state should have limited powers. These are all the things which you will study. But note makingly, you can't write everything, right? You write only the thinkers, whatever he has told. State, introduction in Baritira, the thinker. Some people say the state should have ultimate powers. Who is the thinker? Write it. Some people say state should not have ultimate power. Who is the thinker? Right? So when you revise one day before the exam, you're revising only these things. You're not going back to the complete big notes. Exam in the day before the exam is something which you have made. That short notes will only help. You can't read the whole book a day before the exam or probably 4 to 5 days before the exam. You know, right after essay, GS 1, 2, 3, 4, you will have 5 days. And after that, you have PSIR, paper 1, paper 2, right? A day before the exam. So, the whole notes probably you are concising it to around say 40 to 50 pages. That's all. A day before the exam or on the day in the morning, you will read only these 40 to 50 pages. That when that becomes muscle memory, it automatically comes. Correct. And only these things will differ your GS answer with PSIR answers. Correct. These thinkers, when you add your GS answer, your answer, normal answer. See, in PSIR also, you will have questions which will be similar to GS. What are the benefits of 73rd, 74th Amendment Act? How it has increased representation with respect to women? How it has increased in democratic decentralization? Say this is a question. If you write it in the GS2 terms without any specialization, it will look like a GS answer. What that specialization that you're doing is this note making which you have done, you add those thinkers in between. That will look like a PSIR answer. Nothing more you have to do. And note making like this only. Once you read the whole notes of thinkers, it should feel like you have completed the whole syllabus. That thinker notes also you should make it organized. After writes on the topic, if writes on the topic comes, then you have to write what is the introduction that you are writing and who said what. Theory of natural rights, there is a topic, and who said what. That's all. You don't need to study everything. And Plato said something about education, one line, his quote. But by the time you read that, you should be able to recollect everything. This is how you make notes and this is how you revise. One book is of thinkers, Complete. The whole book is of thinkers. Organized. Rights, these are the thinkers. Justice, these are the thinkers. Indo-Russia, these are the thinkers. 4 thinkers of Indo-Russia, over. Correct. Then, the other book is of the framework. That framework is of previous year questions and the test series which I took from Nikhil Sir. Correct. That framework for all the questions, this is the introduction, these are the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is the conclusion. These are the counter arguments. So one book is of thinkers which you will revise. Another book is of the question answers framework which you are making. If you revise these 2 things, almost you are done for the, you are there, you are good for the exam. You are getting what I am saying? Probably maybe if I say these things after say 3 months, they will get an even more clear idea. But this is how you have to approach the paper. So your class notes is the most ultimate notes I would suggest you to maintain. Any other things, only value add. You add that value. If Nikhil Sir is teaching say Indo-Russia, if you get any quote in the newspaper from so many people write editorials, right, the former ambassadors, take that quote and add it to the class notes. Only your class notes will help you at the last point of time. Class notes as in those thinkers and small points, that's all. And if you, for example, if you are solving and if you are not able to recollect properly, if you are not able, see, when you read those thinkers notes and if you are not, if you read what Hobbes spoke about state of nature and you have written only that thing, think that you have written only that thing, and if you are not able to recollect it, go back, read that notes, ask Sir, write an answer again, then come back and read everything. At the end of the day, you should be prepared in such a way that if you read only those 40 to 50 pages notes, you should be done for the exam. And you will have only that much time in the exam. You understood what I am saying? This is all about PSIR at the crux. And one thing more about PSIR integration, which probably you will understand maybe 3 months, 4 months, or when you solve a previous year questions in class, you will understand it. Having subject clarity of paper A is very important. Paper A is all about theories. Who said what, based on what, to incorporate what, why, how. These are the things which come in paper A, part A of paper 1, part B also. In having that subject knowledge helps. So whenever you are reading, try to get that subject clarity on these theoretical things perfectly. The moment you get this subject clarity, you will, integration is something which I am talking about, it will come naturally for all of you. You understood? So the crux of it is have that limited knowledge, limited book, your class notes, and one book of thinkers, one book of frameworks. Revolve around all these things. Trust me, it will fetch you a lot of things. And one thing which I told you was about current affairs, which I couldn't integrate properly. I'll also tell you the second thing is to have a good, decent, legible handwriting, which probably I also lacked. Third thing was I had solved Nikhil Sir's sectional tests, but I had not solved the full length test. See, before going to an exam, make sure that you are solving the same exam in a similar conditions before that. Something which you also can do if you are writing prelims. Say morning 9:30 to 11:30, solve GS1. Your mind should work at that point of time. Okay, your mind should be able to recollect at that point of time. In mind, our time only it should work. So I should have solved those 3 hours test series, 3 hours tests, which probably 8 tests which Nikhil Sir gave. I didn't have time to solve. When you solve those 3 hours tests properly by keeping 3 hours full length tests, you will get your body will naturally adjust to the timings. For example, at what point of time are you completing the compulsory questions? Andre, for example, I'll tell you, you should be able to, UPSC is more about unpredictability. You should try to make it more predictable, then only it will be able to clear it. For example, if you are reading if you are say 9 to 12 is the timings that is there for paper 1, the moment you complete the first 5 questions, if you look at your watch, it should be 9:40. 9:40 is something that should strike you. Okay, you are there on time. correct? Then the moment you complete another 50 marks solving, it should be 10, 12 or 10, 15. The moment you make it repeated, you don't get panic in the exam. You know that you are on the line. Say for example, if you don't solve on the same time, you might get confused, correct? If you say you are solving from 7 to 10, 7 to 10 or something like that, the moment you complete the first 5 questions, you will feel like it's 7:35, 7:40. Andre, what I am telling is, try to make it as predictable. Before 3 hours, before you are writing 3 hours in the exam, give 3 hours tests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Give 3 hours tests. It will make your exam, you will be able to manage the timeline properly. Probably when you keep writing the exam, probably you'll understand more. Because when you don't manage the time, you will panic in the exam, which something which I also did for my PSIR paper 1. I was very thorough with PSIR paper 1. I was sure that I'll get something known as something like 155, 160, because I had written so many answers. I had gotten all the answers corrected, and I had gotten the value addition with Nikhil Sir also came. But I couldn't manage those 3 hours properly. Reading, studying, everything is important. Performance on the day is also very, very important. How to ensure that you are performing well? Mimic that exam. Try to copy that exam in the similar circumstances. So your mind should automatically get accustomed to that. So since I panicked, that's why my score also reduced to 147. I would have easily scored 150 is what I'm thinking. But anyways, that's the thing you are supposed to do. 3 hours exam before, at least give at least 4 to 5. I think Nikhil Sir gives, I think 8 papers or something like that. At least give 60 to 70% of it in the exam environment. Just like how you are giving it on the day of the examination. Then only you will be able to replicate it. Correct? That's one important thing. Then I think I have spoken most of the thing about PSIR and how it helps for essay, GS2, GS4, and how I went about PSIR. I think most of it revolves around these things, and value additions for every note making is very important, and connecting the current affairs with the syllabus is also very important, which you will learn. Previous year questions analysis, with I think Nikhil Sir only solves previous year questions in class, so that also helps. So overall, PSIR is a decent subject which has helped me to crack. And forget about background. Engineering, basic science, knowledge about polity, knowledge about political science, knowledge about IR, nothing. You can do it, provided you do it strategically. If you don't do it strategically, you will get lost in the exam. And trust me, initial 2 to 3 months, it will be difficult because you will be learning a lot of new things. The moment you start incorporating these new things, you start connecting, it will be very, very thrilling subject to study. Someone from engineering background like myself, I also felt it was not that vague. It was very, very thrilling. Because when you are able to connect different points, you will feel like you are learning something new. So first 3 months is the timeline which you are supposed to maintain your momentum. First 3 months it will be very difficult when you study a new subject. Okay, those 3 months admele, when you try to make some meaning out of whatever you're studying, that will help you to get a good marks, get a good hold on the subject. So don't break down in those 3 months only. That is my suggestion, because you will have a lot of chances of breaking down in those 3 months. Correct? Geography, it's not like GS. Geography is something which you would have studied in class, so you don't feel like something redundant. Correct? Maybe economy, you would feel that way. But PSIR, it's a very thrilling subject. First 3 months, control your emotions. It will look like redundant, but you should control it. That's very important. Then other than that, I think this is more or less about PSIR. And if you have any questions, I can answer. Till now, yeah. See, in 2022 attempts I did not take. 23 attempts I had 6 months. You understood, right? 22 attempts I studied only Sir's notes and not much of answer writing. I just went and gave. 23 I had time. Now how to correlate with the GS subjects is just now what I took. Why I took PSIR is because I could overlap it with the GS subjects. Say if you say I could have taken electrical engineering, but I should have spent 5 months specifically for that. Why I took PSIR was GS2, GS4 I did not study at all. GS2 completely I did not study. GS4 I studied all the ethical terms and all those things. And I got decent marks, 116, 112. Adhe ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು overlapping you make your optional, it's better for you. At the end of the day, you will have paucity of time. You have so many things to study. You will have CSAT also to study. You will have GS prelims solving also. How overlapping will you make it is the best thing for you. How this is how, one second. This is how I used to make. Like every day or before prelims, I used to do, before 2023 prelims, I used to do this. Every day morning 9 to 11, I used to solve prelims questions. Right. This is also something. Why 9 to 11? Because that is the time you are solving in the real exam. 9 to 11 prelims questions. Then after say 12 to another 3 hours, I did not have rigid timings. Another 3 hours solving PSIR questions. Then probably once in a week getting it evaluated from Sir. Then after the 3 hours the day solving prelims, then 3 hours for PSIR. Then I used to study GS subjects. If at all I would be very much, if at all I had that energy to study. I used to study a lot of PSIR questions which has overlapped in GS. The more you make it overlapping, the better for you. At the end of the day, you should clear this exam. You're not here to be that expert. I'm an expert in optional. You should clear this exam. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. I overlapped it a lot. Correct? PSIR, if I'm studying quality, I'm reducing the time. You understood? If PSIR, I'm studying thinkers, in GS4, I'm reducing the time. My daily routine used to be this thing, 9 to 11 solve prelims. Whether you have interest, whether you are there in the mood, whether you have any other work, forget about it. 9 to 11 solve. Another 3 hours solve PSIR. Another 2 hours solve, read anything, GS, newspaper, whatever you want. Then again 1 or 2 hours I used to study 8 hours, not more than that. Okay. If I was interested, I used to read newspaper, revision, something. And once in a week, definitely and probably Sir would have corrected around 200 to 300 of my answers. That was the only thing which made a difference. Otherwise, I would have been just writing whatever the thing which I did in 2021 and 2022 as well. You understood what I'm saying? The overlapping madadu is something which you have to maintain. Any other questions? Yeah. Very, very important. Newspaper as a PSIR, what? Yes. See, in newspaper, editorials come, right? Those are the, PSIR is a specialized subject. That means you should have that little bit of specialization, correct? Little bit of in-depth knowledge. And editorially, you will have a little bit of in-depth knowledge because those are given by thinkers, those are given by bureaucrats. Not all editorials are important. And every week there will be every day there will be 1 or 2 editorials which are very, very important. Then I used to study those international sections properly. And I used to make notes, some of the updates. For example, Indo-Russia, what are the updates that has come? I used to make all the thing at one particular place. This is one thing. Second I did was news to notes. News to notes, Nikhil Sir himself, he'll analyze all the papers. You can only study one paper, you can only read one paper. Right? You don't have so much of time, you don't have so much of energy also. News to notes is something that it's compiled by almost 3 to 4 newspapers, compiled with the magazines, diplomat magazines, then with ORF websites, etc. Those are the some things which everything you will get it at one particular thing. I distinctly remember in news to notes there was a topic known as why NAM is relevant. NAM is non-aligned movement. Why NAM is relevant, and that was same question which was asked in the exam. I wrote almost the same thing. 80 to 85% I wrote almost the same thing. So news to notes is something I think you have to follow once in a month. It comes once in a month, you have to follow. And newspaper, any updations or any thinkers. Some of the diplomats say something. Correct. For example, Prime Minister Modi says something. Prime Minister Modi said India-Japan relationship is of mutual cooperation, where there is respect for each other and a respect for democracy. And this was my introduction for Indo-Japan questions. I used to, for introduction for Indo-Japan question, I used to write, according to Prime Minister Modi, India-Japan relations is so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. According to Prime Minister Modi, Indo-Israel, Indo-West relationship is marriage made in heaven. Correct? These are the things. Indo-Russia, Prime Minister said an old friend is very important than 2 new friends. This is something which Prime Minister said in Indo-Russia relationship. And I used to write it as an introduction or conclusion. That's what. You make these notes and make sure that you get it evaluated. Otherwise, you will write everything. You will feel that everything is important. When will you feel that something is relevant, Andre? Try get that guidance. Get that guidance that it is relevant. Otherwise, for you to get that expertise that it is relevant, it will take time. It will take 2 to 3 years, 2 years to get that expertise. E question, knowledge will apply madboda. Should I apply this knowledge here or not? Okay, but if the more evaluated thing you get it, then you will understand. Otherwise, you will be there only for 1 or 2 years, which I also suffered. Understood? This is the thing. Any other question? Yeah, this is also something. See, I used to write, I was mentally conscious that I will write one thinker in the introduction, one thinker in the conclusion, right? Then one thinker in the introduction, then the question would demand something, it would demand something, then I used to put one more thinker there, 2. Then what are the counter arguments? I used to put one more thinker there. Then what is the conclusion? I used to put one more thinker. So I used to write at least 4 thinkers in an exam. And sometimes you should also not make it so repetitive that it should not look like it is only thinker statements are only there. You should be able to analyze things. When you analyze and when you back it up with a thinker's knowledge, then only your PSIR answer will look good. Otherwise, it will look more technical. So analysis is also important. So sometimes if you don't have any thinkers, you're not able to connect anything, do good analysis and come. That also works. But I used to write at least one thinker. Yake andre, the questions I had analyzed, right? Framework which I had built. This is the introduction I am writing. And if you see the same questions repeat, UN reforms repeat, Indo-Japan repeat, Indo-Russia repeats, Indo-Israel. In paper 1, there are so many questions repeat: multiculturalism, democracy, feminist movements, social groups, pressure groups, NGOs. For all these things, you have that introduction, conclusion, and some quality points. And again, when you try to make it, it will be a little difficult. When you make it, get it evaluated. Have that value added thing. Then any other questions? Other subjects I tried, but I couldn't do it with the amount of time which I had. See, this whatever you're doing for PSIR, if you extrapolate it for the other subjects, you are done for this exam itself. How better can you do is, and how are you able to cover all the topics like this? You're done. At the end of the day, for every topic, you should have at least 2 pages of notes with an introduction and with a conclusion, and with some points, arguments with some counterpoints. And when you write test series, value add. That's all. The same thing, whatever I'm telling you, if you do it for all the GS papers, you're done. And you don't need to do it for GS2 because you're anyways doing it in PSIR. You don't need to do much for GS4 because you're anyways doing that in PSIR. GS1, GS3, again, you have to supposed to do that. If you do those things, then this exam will become more predictable. So in UPSC, what is the motto of UPSC? That the day when you see that paper, you should not be able to guess any of the questions that has come. All the questions that has come should be something which you have not thought itself. That is the aim of UPSC. That is also the job which you are entering in. You will see a lot of things where you have not thought about it. At that point of time, how do you react is something which UPSC is also testing with this exam. Exam you don't have anything about this question, but still are you able to get something? You are good for the job. You're good for the job you're getting in. You're good for IAS, IPS, IRS, IFS you're getting it. Because you will have a lot of things which you will not think only, you would have not thought only in life. How to make it andre? Analyze. How to make it more predictable. From this unpredictability, make it more predictable. I keep saying this again and again. Is analyze. That's why UPSC puts previous year questions in their website. They won't tell you about what, how, everything. They'll put previous year questions. They'll say, look, these are the questions which I'm asking. These are the things, these are the problems that are coming. Analyze this. Then prepare on based on this. And I'm not saying that I'll ask only these questions, but these are the things which I'm also thinking. So analyze it. Understood? So get that. For me, like you have a good mentor is what I would suggest. Because sometimes UPSC is very, very tough job clearing this exam. Because ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಇರಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, from where are you studying, how much. For me, that mentor thing, sir provided. He provided for my essay, for my GS 1, 2, 3, 4, for my interview. Even when I was down during my 2022 attempt, I had gone to the interview, but I couldn't clear by 12 marks. So even then, he motivated me to write it again. So have a good mentor and make sure that you follow that. If you follow that, I think you are almost done for the exam. So the unpredictability which UPSC is suggesting, UPSC is trying to put you in, you analyze and make it more predictable. Avagaste you will be able to clear. Otherwise, the whole country is preparing almost 10 lakh, 11 lakh. Most of the people I have seen, my friends also, they are there in the same vicious circle because they don't know, they have so much of knowledge. But they don't know how to make this exam predictable. They're confused. There is so much of knowledge, so much of information. But how to use it, where to use it? Is that knowledge relevant for the exam? These are the things I think if you yourself try to find out, it will be quite difficult because I have faced that difficulty. If you have that mentor thing, probably they would have sorted out 60 to 80% of the game. You need to add those 30% or 40%. This is what I have observed. So make it more predictable. The same thing holds good for prelims also. Make it more predictable. And PSIR, if you make it predictable, no matter how many times you write PSIR mains in PSIR, you will get 275. That addition is current affairs, good handwriting, connected to the contemporary things. If you are able to do this, you are done for the exam. So any more doubts? If you want, you can ask. Okay, this is the thing which how I went. These are the things which I thought I'll tell you. I'll share what are my learnings of taking PSIR. So anything more? Anything else you want to hear? Any doubts? Substantiated, sorry. Yes. I didn't get that. How much what? examples in PSIR. See, yeah, maybe 3 to 4 points, not more than enough. And you will have only that much space to write. Probably in 20 markers, you will write little bit more. In 15 markers, you will write 3 to 4 points. In 10 markers, you will write 2. Or you can say 2 to 3 in 10 markers, 3 to 4 to 5 in 15 markers, 5 around in 20 markers. Because you should also write some counterpoints there. See, other than you answer, when you start writing answer, you will get what I am saying, why counterpoints are important, because that only will make your answer more comprehensive. Correct. When you say, when they ask about Plato, what did Plato say about democracy? Plato said democracy is mobocracy, because democracy is nothing but mobs deciding on something. But you should also write something what Aristotle said about democracy. That is counterpoints. You should also write something what Amartya Sen said about democracy. For example, human rights. Human rights are based on natural rights. But there are some thinkers who say no, customary rights are human rights. Some people who say what state makes are human rights. These are the counterpoints which you are saying there are other things also. Thesis, antithesis, and finally synthesis. This will make your answer look comprehensive, and the evaluator will also know that you know a lot of things. You have understood the subject. Not that you know a lot of things, you have understood the subject. You understood how you can link the topic, link the subject to the demand of the questions. The more you write, you will understand. There's only one thing, write. Write, analyze. Write, get it evaluated, have value addition. That's all for this exam. Understood? That's all? Okay, these are the things which I thought I'll share. And anything else, I think Nikhil Sir will be there for answering. I think I take this opportunity also to thank Nikhil Sir, and there is Lingraju Sir also in Insights. I think even when I was completely down with 2022 attempt, where I thought I would clear this exam, I think he was the one who motivated me to write, because there was not much time. 22 results came on May 22nd or something. May 28 was the prelims again on 2023. I think most of my success, if I have to give some credit, apart my parents, even lesser than what I give for myself. Otherwise, I would have left it. I would have thought, okay, fine, that's the end of it. Because some things you might get in life, some things you don't get in life. So I would have thought these are the things which I don't get in life. I would like to thank him personally for that. And without having any knowledge about PSIR, without having anything about any background, any notes, he was the one who mentored me completely through the journey. And if I have cleared this exam, if I become IRS, it is largely because of my PSIR GS2, GS4 and my interview. GS1, GS3, I am okay-ish. I am not that good. Okay. That PSIR, it's because of the every single evaluation which is said, no, write this introduction, write this conclusion. These are not relevant points. These are the points which you are supposed to write. Even in interview, he gave that. He took a PSIR interview specifically, which has helped. So largely that I didn't have any other platform to say. Largely, I would give this credit to him of IRS IT. You understood? That's why I would say make the good use of mentors. Okay, like joining is not so important. Subscribing to test series is not so important. How do you make a good use of it? Then only that will make your life different. There are so many things that are available, right? Internet to go through, so many information, so many things. But see who is relevant, see what is relevant, and make a good use of it. Then only that will give you some fruits. This is all about what I've learned in 4 years, what I've learned with respect to this exam, and how to approach these exams. Okay? Thank you very much.
On behalf of Insights, we'd like to thank Rakshith for his time. And one thing is that Vinay sir also played a very key role in his interview preparation because he also took one-to-one mock. Because to give a funny incident, when we did that PSIR interview to Rakshith, so we did a very strict interview, knowing me that right, we'll be more upfront in what opinion. So that time he went back to Vinay sir and he was concerned saying that my interview has not gone well. But I think Vinay sir had told him that time you'll get 180, that you don't worry about the thing. So the idea here, why the orientation we didn't do, because we want people to know what students who have studied here.
Yeah, with respect to interview, even Vinay sir had predicted exact score of mine. He said that I would get 185 exact, and I got 185 exact. I've given 3-4 other mock interviews, and no one had predicted that this is the score which I'm getting, which I would be getting. Initially, when I gave interview to Nikhil Sir, as he was very strict, I would have performed around 140, 130 or something like that. Then over the time, I improved, and probably 1 week before the exam, I think even Nikhil Sir had before the interview, even he had little confidence on that, I guess. So I have never seen someone predict exact score. And he has done same thing for my friends also. Some of my friends have scored 180, 185, 190 also. He had predicted exact thing. That was the one important thing which I thought.
Because I remember he had told that Vinay sir told I'll get 180 or something. So he got more also the same score. See, the reason why we brought is that one, it's not for marketing. Okay, marketing we can do in multiple ways. The idea is that because now what happens within the student community, they might always think that something which is in Delhi or something who has come from Delhi, maybe something special is there. Get one. So, including our classes, just classes alone won't get you a rank. Now he told, okay, fine, he has taken help. The help might be there. There are many other people who also have taken classes, but they have not got a rank. End of the day, that individual, what you can say, effort, the individual consistence to come back, the individual consistent to listen what has been said, that will make a huge difference, and that he has done. So for example, many times you have like been very critical of his answers, but he came back every time saying that how I need to improve. And that's why he keeps saying that why people all in a classroom don't get a rank, because that's why I told everybody does not have an idea how to prepare for the exam. Many people are still at primitive level. So for example, again, the question arises, should we take a class for everything? That depends upon the individual. If somebody is very thorough, they have a clear cut of the exam, fine, they can manage with notes. But somebody who does not have an idea of the exam, now for example, 2 years back, there was one student, like he came forward directly and he told, you know, I brought Shubhra Ranjan notes from the market, I'll read that, okay, fine, it's fine. Now, that's what I told, no idea, just reading the notes page by page. So he had written an answer and come. So there is a quote of this, I think, Aristotle, who says that one who lives outside the state is either God, okay, or beast. What this fellow had written, one who lives outside the state is either goat or beast. So I asked him, why have you written goat? So he told, sir, notes all hange irodದು. Notes all ಮೇಡಮ್ ಹಂಗೇನು ಬರ್ಸಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವನು ಯಾವನು ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ದಿರೋನು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಇವನ್ಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವನು ಅದು ಗಾಡ್ನ ಗೋಟ್ ಅಂತ ಓದು. Means that moral here is that he has not understood the concept itself. So ಇದು ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ because in our library culture, now what some will tell, read of the notes, that will, those people have they given means. Those people have they scored. None of them have scored. Easy advices everybody will give. The question is that what is their credibility? So that's the problem in Bangalore, that what happens that people tend to listen to more from the outsiders than what we as say. And second one I have told before also in GS classes I have made, one, listen to what has been said, or two, you have your own clarity about the exam. Is it correct? It's fine. If you are this halfway thing, ನಮಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೇಳದ್ನೂ ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, you are not going to clear the exam. And as I told, what is spoke about, writing is the main thing. Plain and simple. If you are not going to write an answer, you are not going to become an IAS. No matter how much motivation, how much inspiration, how much you take. Now he asked a question, how many points to write? That we can't tell how many points to write. It depends upon what is the question to write. You can't be a fixed point. 3 points, okay, I'll write 3 points for everything. No, for some question, there may be 5 points. For some question, there may be 6 points. So that's what I'm telling you, can't tell unless you write, unless you develop that ability. And that's why I'm not telling that you take political science, I'll guarantee you 300. I can't guarantee you. So we won't run our courses like that, telling you take this optional 100%, I will take you to Mussoorie. No, Mussoorie is your own journey that you'll have to go. Maximum what we can do is that we can show you what is the right path, how to approach. And same way, that's why I told, in Insights, that facility, that environment is there. For example, not only I'm telling with political science, you have other faculties also equivalently good in their own subjects. Okay, be it environment, be it modern history, be it let us say any other subject, or even essay writing. You know, Vinay sir is there to go and evaluate. But the problem lies where, again, what he told, how do you make use of your mentor? How many of you will go and show the answer? Very few people will do. You mind? Maximum what everybody will do is that when we call some topper session, they'll bring a page and paper and tell these are the things we have to do. And again, like how we say DPSP, Nasruddin say, these are nothing but like New Year resolutions broken to be on 2nd of Jan. Same way, they'll write here and go, end of the story. Next, one more topper will come, again come, write down all the list, go back, don't write answers, don't solve questions. You are getting my mind. See, that is the thing we are trying to change in this ecosystem. We have to go exam oriented way. Okay, that's what I told. No optional will give you the marks. If you ask, sir, will political science make me a topper? No, political science will not make you a topper. You have to become a topper in that subject. There's no optional which says that just because you took it naturally, you know, you get, sir, tell me some optional where I'm guaranteed, 270 marks. There is no guarantee. There is no guarantee to life only. So where is the guarantee to how much marks you'll get? All depends upon how well you prepare in that option. Every optional can be scoring, but it depends upon how you understand that optional, in what way you work. There's nothing called as which is small optional, which is big option. There might be some optional which might be less in content, but once you start reading it, it might widen out. There may be some optionals which given only they would have given in detail. So that's what I told, your maturity can't work in which is small, which is big, or which has only 2 books, which does not have book. There's nothing that for every optional, it has its own requirements. And again, as I said, newspaper becomes fundamental. No matter, even if you don't take political science also, you have to read newspaper. That's the thing. You have to know what is the current context, what is happening, etc. And that's what I told, cracking an exam is a skill. And that is why I told, end of the day, it's not just because of the classes or coaching. He had the skill. See, he had the skill. Maybe 10-20% it helped, giving feedback, etc. But that's what I told, everybody whom we give feedback might not clear the exam. The reason is that even they need to develop certain skills. And one thing about what his thing was that he was very consistent in writing these previous year questions, especially for optional. I think he had xeroxed a book and given, where he had written almost 200 questions, like a model answer, what he told, structure, introduction, conclusion. And we have seen that what kind of hard work he had put in, and that is why he's sitting here today. Remember, it's not like simple, it was there. There were tough phases. There were phases where you got self-doubt. And that's what I told. But one thing is that not giving up. And repeatedly writing answer. And that is what makes somebody stand out from others. With others, what will happen, right? They might not be in a right state of mind to take things. So, for example, you criticize somebody saying this answer is not good. They'll stop writing answer. Or they'll stop avoiding the person. Saying that no, we will sit in classroom, we'll take down our own notes. So that's why I keep telling in classes also, you are not appearing for a clerk exam. This is not an FDA exam. This is not an SDA exam. Okay, randomly you take some notes, you just read that note and you go answer. It can't be done in these examinations. Now, other hand, what will happen is that the other way people will think is that okay, they're trying to push everybody to classroom. See, there's not question of pushing everybody to classroom. To get ranks, I can get ranks from test series itself. Got the point? So the agenda, I am not telling that, we are not doing business. End of the day, it is business only. But there should be some ethics in the business also we do, that at least we teach the student what is required for the exam. That's why I told I won't go by what is your comfort level. If you want something comfort level, not the case, because I can't give you what is your comfort level. I can give you what is required for the exam. So one thing you have to prepare to that level, then you can see success in the exam. And that's what I told, like there is no optional which says that 100% it will give you marks, or there is no optional which says that it will not score only. There are people who have topped the exam with electrical engineering, but you have to be brilliant in that subject. There's no subject like that. So these are all the market myths, what you can say, that take this option. So that's why I told, optional should be your choice, end of the day, based on considering what? Your comfort, your interest. Yeah, maybe in last 5 years how the optional is working. And as he already explained, in political science, what is the advantages it has, and similarly what are the challenges you will face and what you will have to do to practice. But any optional you take, there is no alternative to writing practice. Any option you take, you have to write 19 questions in that option, right? And you have to write within the given time limit. So end of the day of a coaching is not only meant you to just tell the concepts. Okay, that is half work done. To tell the concept is very easy. Tell about Plato one day, tell about Aristotle one day, tell about Machiavelli one day, your option is done. But listening to their stories only does not help. Okay, and that's why I told the approach is always correct. And why we tell here, you generally see even those who are from arts background, it is actually the science background people who perform well in the option. He's an engineer. I was an engineer. The reason is that there is no correlation here, saying that you have an arts background, you have a non-arts background, you can't excel. UPSC is a completely different ballgame. It's not like a degree or etc. The more quicker you understand how the mechanism, see, even if you don't know where Plato is born, even if you don't know when Plato was born, even if you don't know whose Plato's parents are, it's fine, because that is not they're going to ask in the exam. They are mainly going to ask what? Ideas of Plato. They are going to mainly ask theories of Plato. And that's why I told you have to learn the art of thinking. Okay. So here, since in optional, because if you take polity or if you take economy, any other paper, that is for both prelims and mains will be doing. Second point. Optional is the only paper, it is only for mains. There is no prelim syllabus. What you'll understand in a mains especially is that you have to do a lot of thinking process. It is not just reading process. Just you can't keep on reading and going. You will also have to logically think. And why some people they struggle in mains is that because they would have not developed their thinking abilities. What is their idea of an exam? Sit in a classroom, just take down notes, go repeat the notes, prepare for prelims. Prelims is just a qualifying paper. Whether you are eligible to write mains or not. So that's why I told here you also have to develop thinking abilities, and that is what in classroom why we make you solve a lot of previous year questions is that you have to get used to the idea that how to write questions, how to write answer, how to think, how to interconnect. As I told, paper 1 and paper B you need to interconnect. If your creativity is very good, you can interconnect from paper 1 part A to even IR paper. So for example, you have a person called as Hobbes who says about state of nature. State of nature means when government only is not there. It was completely chaotic. Everybody are fighting with each other. There was security dilemma. Why? Because every human being has desires. He wants to maximize pleasure. He wants to avoid pain. Now the same thing you apply in IR, when you look at international environment, how countries behave, it is same way what Hobbes described. Everyone, you can make correlations and interconnections. So your agenda of attending a classroom is not to just take down notes. It's also to develop these interconnections and to develop this thinking process that will help you in the exam. Got it? So I hope that you got an idea that what is there in the optional. Okay. So you think about it. We are not compelling anybody to join this option or not join optional. It's your decision end of the day. You think about it and you decide whether it is comfortable for you. So that's why I told, that's why I called like Rakshith who had cleared the exam very recently. So he'll be a better person to give you exact idea that how this examination process occurs. So on behalf of Team Insights, again we will thank Rakshith for his time and for his what you can say words where he was able to explain the exam very well. Okay. So thank you all for coming.
See, as Sir said about, say, answer writing, you should keep writing, you should keep solving, because at the end of the day, that is the thing which will help you to clear the exam. Okay. If you think, say, I would push answer writing, say, a month to next month or something like that, you're just pushing the timelines, that's all. At the end of the day, you have to do the same thing. Correct? And by the time you keep pushing it, it will be like 2 years, 3 years, you'll get that fatigue of preparation, anything. So understand what is required to clear this exam and do that thing from day one, even if you are not at all good at it. You know that you are supposed to solve, say, prelims questions. You are supposed to solve MCQs. Prelims is not about knowledge. It's about ability to solve MCQs. It's about deducing the answer out of the 4 options, right? Don't push it that I will read something, I will complete polity, then I will start solving. It will never happen. Even if I don't have knowledge, even if I have limited knowledge, I'll try to solve. Let me see. This is the attitude you're supposed to carry. Because if you keep pushing it, at the end of the day, you're again keep pushing the things which you're supposed to do. Don't shove it off. That's what. So every day, like, do something which is relevant for the exam. Getting knowledge is one part. What is relevant for the exam is solving, is writing. That is more relevant for the exam. Even if you don't have that much knowledge, how can you do that? Think in that way and start solving. And trust me, like for prelims, let me tell you, if you don't solve MCQs and if you have read like hundreds of books, there is no guarantee that you would clear. Even if you have read, say, half a book, and if you're able to solve MCQs, if you're able to deduce, you might clear. At the end of the day, prelims is 1 or 0, right? Mains is, you should have that knowledge, you should be able to express it. So don't shy away from expressing it. For example, even I used to think that, what if I write some nonsense answer and what if sir scolds me or something? It's of irrelevant thing. When sir scolds me, he will obviously tell the right answer, right? That mistake, I should not do it again. That's all. If I am not showing it to sir, if I am showing it maybe after a month, I'll start rectifying my mistakes maybe after a month. That will go again a month or something like that. By the time some say 10,000 of them would have already done something. Correct? Don't push the deadlines. Every day, even if you read 6 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours or something, take 1 hour to solve some of the prelims questions, since most of you are appearing for prelims. Take 1 hour, including prelims, take some time to look at a question and try to think about what will you think? What do you think about that answer, about the question? That's what I told about frameworks. What do you think? Correct? Write it down. Then compare it with the answer. Then update it. This is how you will grow. You will never write the best answer at the first instance. Everyone has to take the same path. First instance, first 2 to 3 months, the answers will be very bad. Then it will become moderate. Then it will become decent, good, very good. Only if you reach that good and very good level, you will clear. You will never just jump and become a very good answer writing skill. You will never get that. You will get only through this path. So don't push the deadlines. Don't push the deadlines and make that before you write the exam, you'll have only, say, a month or something to practice answer writing. No, it's an everyday process. That's what I told. UPSC is like every day how predictable you will try to make this exam. The more you make it predictable, the more you clear this exam. And don't shy away from taking help, because many of us will be on our own shells, because we'll think there will be a lot of time where you will have self-doubts. You will think that I am not good enough. No, nangidu mostly agala, nan keludru tappagutte, idu already ella munde hogide. No. Even say you have 6 months to 8 months you have put in the exam, at the end of the day, if you still have issue with understanding fundamental rights, come out and ask. Because until you do that, you will never grow. You will never rectify your mistakes. ಎಷ್ಟು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರು ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, start it again if you want to start it. At the end of the day, ಅವಾಗ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೇನೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಬೇಕು. At the end of the day, what other person is thinking, what my peers are thinking, that it will not matter at all. What matters is whether you have cleared it or not. To clear it, most of my friends, what I have observed is, they know their deficiencies, they know their incapabilities, they know that what they are lacking in, but they shy away from asking, they shy away from taking help, they shy away, they push the thing that, okay, no, I am good at it anta ಅವ್ರಿಗವರೇ ಸುಳ್ಳು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓಡಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. Don't be like that. If you're into it, you will be there in the same vicious circle. ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟೇ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗಿ 1 year, 2 year, 3 years ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಫಂಡಮೆಂಟಲ್ ರೈಸ್ ಡೌಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಓಕೆ, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರಾಚ್, ಗೋ ಟೇಕ್ ದಟ್ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಪಾತ್, ಅವಾಗಲೇ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗೋದು. This is what I have done, this is what probably everyone has done. No one has become an expert at one instance. ಆಯ್ತಾ, we are humans, not robots. ಕೋಡ್ ಹಾಕಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ it will show some results. No, we'll forget. After a month we'll forget something, after 6 months we would have forgotten everything. Come back, read it, take help, ask him, sir, I have forgotten it which you have taught 6 months back, take help, then only you'll grow. Okay, all the best.